Hello YouTube, this is Jay here with a bit of an unexpected tank here. I did not film this tank setting it up because I thought this tank would be very temporary, but it does ended up being a bit of a lengthier project than I expected. So as you can see in this tank, there are a bunch of tadpoles. So how I ended up with these guys is they were a bit of a rescue, a unexpected rescue. So I live in South Korea. And South Korea is experiencing a bit of a dry spring. It seems to happen a lot more often these days. But anyways, I was walking around a nearby park area where there is a small pond. And because of the drought, the pond had dried up except for a small puddle. The puddle was about the size of my hand. It was just really small. It was about to dry up. And inside there were about 20 to 30 tadpoles that were alive, and there were at least like 100 tadpole corpses just all over the pond bottom. So there was just a massacre happening. So these tadpoles were dying in the sun in this tiny puddle. So I decided to rescue them. I had a water bottle that I was using to drink from, so I scooped up as many tadpoles as I could. I couldn't bring them all, but I brought several of them back home, and I was just going to keep them in safe custody and release them back in the wild when it rained again. Except it hasn't rained again, so it hasn't rained in 2 weeks now, and there is no forecast of rain coming within several weeks. So I don't know how long I'm gonna have to keep these guys, but I will keep them until the pond is at a sufficient water level. And that is not the case at the moment. The pond has now completely dried up. There's just no water there. There is zero water in the pond. Hopefully it will rain and I can return these guys, but until that happens, I will be keeping these guys here in this tank, which I thought I would only be keeping for 1 week, maybe 2 weeks tops, but it has become a bit of a lengthier project. And one of the guys is almost a frog now, if I can find him. You can see these guys, most of them, they're just starting to get their hind legs. They're just tiny hind legs coming out. But one of the tadpoles was already a bit big, and he has almost become a frog. He or she, I don't know, but can you see him right there? Yep, there he is. You can see he has all 4 legs. I think in about 2 or 3 days he's gonna lose the tail and become a full-on frog. So I have ordered some wingless fruit flies. I have learned that those are commonly used for feeding tiny frogs, so I have ordered them. Hopefully they'll be here by the time this guy becomes a full-on frog, and I will have to set up a temporary habitat for him as well. In any case, I think I will keep these guys for several more weeks. Hopefully the rains will come. It just won't stay dry. And these guys can return to the wild where they came from. What I'm feeding here is a bit of clam leftover. If you have eaten clams, you'll know that there's this little bit of flesh there that is a bit hard to get off the shell. So I decided to drop it in there, and tadpoles seem to really like it. So they've already finished 1 clam here. They're done with it. That thing is picked dry. And they are going to town with that tiny little bit of clam flesh there. So they really enjoy that. In any case, this is the state of the tank. I just have a small hang-on back filter, LED lights, and as usual a bunch of plants in there. So yeah, it's a pretty decent little tank for these guys. And I'll keep them until it rains, and hopefully it will. Thanks for watching, guys.